Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to talk about Android tablets, the rise and death of these things, as hardly anyone today is using Android tablets. And we're going to kind of go in depth about as to why. So basically, when tablets started to come out, it was like a really big in thing. People were going bananas over it, and one of the best ones to actually go for was the Nexus tablets. So you have the Nexus 7, you have the Nexus 7 2013 edition. I believe there was a Nexus 9, if I'm not mistaken, and a Nexus 10, which was the 10 inch, 10.1 inch, I believe it was. And then, yeah, it just kind of fell by the wayside. Now, some may say that I may be incorrect about this, but I'm just going to give you guys my spin on just exactly why Android tablets pretty much went down, okay? One of the biggest things that I felt played a role in the downfall of Android tablets is when you kind of look at when it first came out, it had its own dedicated operating system. If you guys don't remember, Honeycomb was actually for Android tablets. Now, there were some developers who were able to port over a version of Honeycomb to Android smartphones that were able to flash custom ROMs on it, which is kind of weird and crazy, but Honeycomb was for tablets. So it was kind of weird when you have an operating system with kind of a different UI compared to Gingerbread. And so it was like, it wasn't like super confusing, but to some consumers it was, in a way. And really all Honeycomb was that, it was scaled for larger displays. It was scaled for tablets. It's pretty much what it was. But still, there's people that just couldn't wrap their head around that. And so, I mean, they were looking at it, from start. And then Ice Cream Sandwich came in. And when Ice Cream Sandwich came in, it literally just unified it as one operating system for both Android smartphones and Android tablets. It has been that way since. So that, to me, was kind of part of the reason. Another part of the reason why Android tablets failed compared to the iPad on Apple was that there was a mass amount of just like really super budget OEMs out there building tablets for Android. And again, this kind of goes to show that if the price is cheap, people will kind of flock to it, right? Like you can go into Best Buy and you can find like a bunch of tablets that are probably like maybe $50 at best. I remember I got a Digiland tablet, like a 10.1 inch display, really big tablet for like, I don't know, what was it, babe? It was like what, $60 for that 10 inch tablet? Do you remember at Best Buy? Yeah, about $60 or so. And I'll tell you right now, like, I used it because I had a need for a tablet, but if I was to be very honest about that tablet, like, its performance wise was very bad. It didn't have much storage in it. It had 1 gig of RAM, but it ran choppy as heck. And I know a lot of people really just kind of like had that experience, right? RCA tablets. I think probably one of the best budget tablets they ever had out there was from a company called Nextbook. I remember I had the Nextbook 8, and that tablet was actually pretty solid. They had all the accessories in there, HDMI, mini HDMI port, so you could plug in like a mini HDMI to regular HDMI and plug that to your smart TV or whatever. It was pretty good, but like majority of the market saw budget tablets, right? I think what we would consider to be, I guess, like fair, decent, or maybe like higher end tablets was Nexus tabs. Some of the Asus tablets which is basically who built the Nexus tablet, was Asus. Those ones were like pretty solid, right? But we never really had anything that was like really at the scale of like what Apple was doing with the iPad. And that's the next reason why Android tablets failed. Those people who would actually give Android tablets a chance were people who migrated from Apple devices and the Apple ecosystem and moved over to Android. And so since they had a use for an iPad, they thought they were going to get the same experience with an Android tablet and an Android smartphone, which wasn't the case. Android, for some reason, didn't seem to want to create a more in-sync ecosystem until later on down the road. Had they done that back when Android tablets was still a thing that people were considering buying, maybe the experience would have been different for a lot of Android users. I can tell you guys the way that, you know, Android is in sync with everything, with Chrome OS, with your tablet, with your smartphone, the things that you can do. You know, it would have been a way better experience back then if that happened back then, but it didn't. And that's what was a major turnoff to a lot of people to Android tablets. You know, they didn't want to forego using an Android smartphone, but they could give up the Android tablet because, you know, it wasn't fulfilling that void. They just looked at their Android smartphone and said, well, I can do everything that's on here, so why do I need this when all I would need is this? Which is why on the Android side of things, most people tend to flock more towards their smartphones. Like, their smartphones is everything, right? You don't see a lot of people really rocking tablets anymore or saying that they got a tablet, and for whatever reason, you just don't. They do everything from their smartphone, and that's why, you know, they wanted bigger screens. You know, back in like, what, 2014, 2015, it was all about the big displays, the phablet, the era of the phablet, which we'll talk about in another video. But Android tablets was just like, fell by the wayside because it wasn't delivering the same experience that, like, you know, former iOS users would get using their iPhone and their iPad. So that is probably one of the major things. And also Google's lack of support. I mean, you know, sometimes I feel like that, you know, when the going gets tough, Google just bails rather than trying to, you know, go back to format and maybe try to create something. I mean, I would say they kind of tried to did. I mean, the Nexus 9 tried to fulfill that. I think the Nexus 9 was built by HTC, and so it went with a more premium material. But then again, what the Nexus 9's failures was the synchronization between all devices running on Android or Chrome OS being synced and compatible. That really wasn't there. And I do see where Google really tried to revive it again. I mean, you know, the Pixel C was, I think, a last attempt at trying, and that absolutely failed. And I believe the Pixel C was the one that actually was like a 2-in-1. It just didn't go anywhere, you know. And since then, you know, the Pixel Book and the Pixel Book Go, those are more Chromebook based. So they really didn't go with a tablet. I mean, you know, it's the craziness behind it. And you got to think too, the pricing, what Android tablets cost back then, at least the more powerful ones were costing a good grip, but people would really compare that to the iPad and how much they paid for an iPad and the materials used to build the iPad and how the iPad felt in the hand. Because, you know, whether we want to jump on people's butts or not, holding a device, you know, does kind of give you a feeling of what to expect out of it. It's like judging a book by its cover. So Android tablets just didn't get the support from Google that it really needed. It didn't get that push. It just almost felt like that Google was just a bit afraid of it. Like, okay, it's not doing as good as the iPad, so what do? Do we try and build something that's very powerful that our consumers can use? Or just focus on our Android smartphones and let's focus on getting a hardware put out there. Let's, you know, and that's what they did. They focused on the Nexus program for smartphones for a while and then switched it up, brought out their own hardware known as the Pixel and ran with that, and then started labeling things around Pixel just to get that name Pixel out there, like the Pixel C, the Pixel Book, those things. Just, you know, you really know it has nothing to do with the Pixel smartphones, right? It's just getting that name Pixel very familiar with everybody, so then that way when people think Pixel, the first thing they're going to think of is a smartphone, and they're hoping they'll buy that. But other than that, yeah, Google rarely push Android tablets. Now, why do I still have one? Well, I'll be honest with you guys. I would rather game on something like this than game on something like this. I mean, this is good for Pokemon Go. I have no problem using this phone for Pokemon Go. But I can also use this tablet for Pokemon Go with my Wi-Fi hotspot and play it on a bigger display. But using it as an e-reader, using it to watch movies, using it just for day-to-day tasks. I mean, this thing fits in my hand. You can easily hold it. The way it's built, you know, it's ergonomic. It's good for grip. Hold on to it. Not a super big tablet, but it is a tablet. And I can play whatever, Mario Run, whatever game I want to play, I can play it on here. And, you know, it just better experience. Where my phone doesn't have its battery killed because I'm playing a game on it. So my phone could be used for whatever else I needed to. But anyways, that is the sad story of Android tablets and why they failed. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section of the video. If Google with Android can build a solid tablet, one that feels sturdy and good, but also runs buttery smooth, would you guys even consider using a tablet again? Would you guys help Google revive the Android tablets and bring those back into the market? Let me know in the comment section of the video if you guys enjoyed today's video. Thanks so much for checking it out. Really appreciate you guys stopping by and watching this video. Smash that like button if you guys enjoyed it. If you just found my channel and subscribed, thanks for doing so. I really appreciate it. But to be notified when I upload videos, just hit that bell icon, and then you guys won't miss any new episodes coming out. But that's it for right now, guys. I'm going to jam out. You guys should too. Stay safe out there. And as always, Aloha.
Let me out. I'm stuck in your pocket.